apologies for bringing up politics. I won't ask about sexual origin. So, we've seen a blowout in spreads. If the RBA is pinned to the floor and Labor do get in, do you think they will back off on negative gearing at all to kind of avoid forced sellers when that cliff comes?
Well, at the moment, look at it this way. They took the negative gearing capital gains tax reforms the last election. They lost, but did quite well. All their announcements ever since have been about maintaining that policy. I've had some discussions with an insider who says that still all go. They're not going to face any political opposition. I mean, obviously the coalition will attack them, but they'll have no problems passing it through the Senate because the Greens support it, so that's all they need. But yeah, of course, there's always the risk that they'll backslide, but it is one of their fundamental policy platforms that they took the last election, and at this stage it looks like it's a goer. But 12 months' time, if prices keep falling and it gets a lot more unruly, you never know.
I think the only thing that would stop it is an external shock. Like, as long as the Australian economy is okay, then they'll do it. Yeah. Definitely. And they're going to win. I think we all know that. So I think you can reasonably back negative gearing reform.
Does that make the 15 to 20% a 30 to 40?
Well, that's a funny one. You've got mobs like the Great Institute who think it's going to have 1 to 2% impact on prices. You've got others saying 10%. I'm more at the 10% end just from that policy alone, and possibly more in Sydney and Melbourne, just because the massive dominance of investors here. So if you factor in, by this time next year, if it keeps going the way it's going, and you add negative gearing, we're probably looking at over 20% by that stage. But who knows? It also depends on what, if Scott Morrison brings in some kind of first home buyer bribe before the election. In his speech last week, suggested that's what they're now looking at. It's pretty cynical, but we've been here before. So yeah, there are a lot of moving parts, but based on what we know, it's going to. I think house prices got a lot further to fall.
My worry is that the houses hold up for we get a little bit of first home buyers, tap your super, house prices hold up for a little bit, and on comes negative gearing, off goes a few of those other things, and away it tumbles, and then the next government goes, here you go guys, here's negative gearing back, and we're never ever taking off.
Yeah, for at least two, 3 generations. So this is exactly what we saw in the late 80s.
Timing would have been great last time around. This time, you're right, it could be a shocker.
Yeah, look, that's right. Timing couldn't be worse for this policy, unfortunately. And one of these things that should have come in, 3-4 years ago. Well, really, 20 years ago. But it's a great policy, but the timing's not great.
I think they're more likely to fiddle with stimulus while they do it than not do it. So if they're really concerned about the impact on the market, they'll throw out another home buyer grant of their own, possibly boost immigration, whatever it might be, to nurse the reform through. But it has been very central to the Bill Shorten recovery. It's hard to see them backing away from it.
And it's also worth adding that they did bring in the state government's brought in a mini first home buyer stimulus July 1 last year, and the prices are still falling. It's just that they would have fallen further without that. And you saw that with the bottom end holding up quite well. If we hadn't had that stimulus, Sydney could be down instead of 6, could already be down 9. We don't know. Yeah.